Finally, we have arrived at version 3.7, where this is the version that we have been waiting for so far. Maybe everyone's reasons are different, but for me personally, I'm looking forward to Cyrene's presence in Honkai Star Rail, because in addition to having a beautiful appearance, she also has many interesting kits, one of which is a special buff for a character from Chrysos Heir. Apart from Cyrene, there's actually another thing that makes us even more enthusiastic about the latest update 3.7, namely the 7 banners that appear in this version. These characters are Cyrene, Hyacine, Castorice, Tribbie, Phainon, Mydei, and also Cipher. So, with the many banners present in this version, we certainly have to carefully choose which character is worth for us, right? Well, without waiting any longer, I'm hsrguide and we will jump right into the video. Let's do this. Do you have a character or weapon in the game that you really want but you don't have enough stellar jades? Here's a smarter way to recharge your favorite games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Look no further than Lootbar. Lootbar is the most reliable top-up platform. It saves up to 23% for all orders compared with the official channel, and it provides an 80% off for your first purchase. It's 100% safe as you will only be using your UID. We will buy pack for 30,000 stellar jades for $42, which otherwise would have costed $50, totally saving $7.5. We received the crystals we purchased in the less than 3 minutes. All recharges will be done through the official channel with MiHoYo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Ready to level up your gaming experience? Check the link in the description to get the amazing discount. Okay, now we are going to get into the discussion of the first banner, which is Cyrene, guys. As we already know, Cyrene is an ice-type character with the Remembrance Path that has a memo sprite in the form of her own memory. The main uniqueness of Cyrene is that she has a memo sprite skill that can give different buffs between characters, especially characters from Chrysos Heir. In addition to this special buff, Cyrene also has a skill called Bloom, Elysium of Beyond, that can deploy zones that make all team members' attacks give an additional 20% of the damage generated. Of course, this effect is very similar to the true damage of RMC's Memo Sprite skill. The difference is that the buff of Cyrene's skill that have an impact on all team members, while RMC only gives buffs to one character. Really cool, isn't it? The coolest thing is, the multiplier of her true damage can increase again if you have her Eidolon too, making this skill feel very powerful. Not only that, Cyrene has an ultimate that can only be activated using a point called Recollection. We can get this point by having teammates and their memo sprite consume the future given every time Cyrene gets her turn. This will certainly be very beneficial for Remembrance characters who can automatically give 2 recollection points through the character and their memo sprite. The first version of ultimate can be activated if Cyrene has at least 24 recollection points. She will summon her memo sprite and activate the ultimate of all team members the first time she uses it, and make Cyrene enter the ripples of past reverie state. This status will strengthen her basic attack to 2 Love and Tomorrow. Although this ultimate can only be used once during battle, but this effect will give Cyrene an additional 50% critical rate, as well as make the resulting zone have no time duration, makes Cyrene not require a lot of critical rate status in her build. Of course, this is a very cool thing. Oh yeah, Cyrene also has the second version of the ultimate which can only be activated with 12 recollection points. This ultimate will make her memo sprite get a turn and be able to tag enemies and give buffs to our team members. So, is this character worth picking up in version 3.7? I currently give a score of 8.5 out of 10. In my personal opinion, without a doubt, she is a good character. Although Cyrene can give a very powerful buff to all team members and give a special buff to the character of Chrysos Heir, unfortunately she does not play as well as other support characters for teams outside of Chrysos Heir or teams that rely on Remembrance Path, as it will take a very long time to collect recollection points. So, if you don't have a lot of variety of characters from Chrysos Heir, then the value of this character will be very low when compared to other characters. Then what about her icon? Her signature icon called This Love Forever does offer a lot of useful things for her kit, such as the amount of speed needed to be able to activate her trees. But unfortunately, the value of this icon feels less special, because there are other icons that have quite similar effects but can be easily obtained. Yep, the icon is called Memories Content Never Falls, so she strongly recommends picking up her Island 1, which can give her additional recollection points to trigger her ultimate faster. Next, we will move on to the next character, which is Hyacine. Since her release in version 3.3 ago, Hyacine has become the top tier healer in this game. This is because she can consistently heal from her skill, ultimate, and her Memo Sprite, Little Ika. Hyacine has one unique ability, where she can increase her teammates' maximum HP through her ultimate called We Who Fly into Twilight. This ultimate will give After Rain to the Hyacine for 3 turns. Interestingly, during this duration, all team members' maximum HP will increase by 30% plus 600 points. So teammates like Evernight, Castorice, and Tribbie will benefit greatly from Hyacine's presence in the team. In addition to her excellent healing, Hyacine can also contribute quite high damage thanks to Little Ika's Memo Sprite skill called Rain Clouds Time to Go. This skill will attack all enemies, and the damage done depends on the amount of heal that Hyacine and Little Ika have dealt during battle. That means, the more heal you deal, the higher the damage deal. So that makes this character have a pretty good damage contribution. According to the data I took from Pride.GG, Hyacine has a very high usage rate of 49.21% in MOC, 49.86% in Pure Fiction, 56.3% in the Apocalyptic Shadow, and 53.23% in the latest endgame content, Anomaly Arbitration. The numbers are almost similar to Castorice's, and this is very reasonable considering that the two are very suitable when paired with one team. This also signifies that Hyacine is still very strong to be sustained on the current meta. Right now, I would give this character a pretty high score, which is 9 out of 10. Why did I give this character such a high score? Honestly, in my personal opinion, Hyacine in the current meta is one of the most crucial sustains for us to have, whether for old players or new players. Because Hyacine can maintain the HP of one team very well, thanks to her very consistent healing and the addition of the entire team's maximum HP, and can constantly remove debuffs through her skills and ultimate. The damage she deals is also not a joke, so she is suitable to be paired with various teams, apart from teams that only rely on HP scaling, such as Derta for example. Overall, Hyacine is the only DPS character who is dressed in the role of a sustain. And what about her signature icon? The answer is really obvious, guys. Her signature icon is one of the icons that I think is very worth getting. This LC can provide a significant increase in speed for Hyacine. Plus, this LC effect can match the kit of several characters that are worth pairing with. Let's call it Castorice, Evernight, Blade, and also Acheron. With this LC, Hyacine can constantly debuff enemies, making the stack of Acheron grow very quickly, making the team's damage output increase. In the next section, we will discuss another rerun character that is present in this version, namely Castorice. As we already know, Castorice herself is a DPS character who is still at the top of the meta for now. This is natural, considering that her Memo Sprite called Netherwing can provide deadly AoE and bounce attacks for many enemies or elites as well as bosses. Castorice is a unique character in this game, because to run her kit optimally and call Netherwing consistently, we need teammates who have kits to reduce or increase their HP regularly. Some examples include Hyacine, Blade, and also Evernight. On the other hand, Netherwing has a skill that can deal damage in an area called Breath Scorches the Shadow. This skill can attack all enemies continuously as long as Netherwing's HP is sufficient. If there is not enough HP, Netherwing will automatically launch a finisher attack called Wings Sweep the Ruins. Interestingly, this attack is a bounce type attack, so this skill will be very effective for a small number of enemies. Another interesting kit of Castorice is that when summoning Netherwing, she will create a territory that can reduce all types of resistance of all enemies by 20%, thus making the damage received by enemies even greater. However, the downside of this effect is that it will only be active as long as the territory of Netherwing is inside the battle. If we immediately use up Netherwing's HP and trigger the finisher's attack, then the territory and buffs given will be instantly lost. According to the data I took from Pride.gg, Castorice still has a good performance with a usage rate of 45.54% in MOC, 51.94% in Pure Fiction, 70.76% in Apocalyptic Shadow, and 59.06% in the latest endgame, Anomaly Arbitration. Of course, with this data, Castorice itself is still the main choice of many players to complete all existing endgame content. I gave it a score of 8 out of 10. In my opinion, this character is very worth taking until now, especially if you intend to take it or already have Evernight in version 3.6 ago. If you look at it, overall Castorice is still a top tier DPS even with free-to-play teams, such as using Gallagher, Runmei, and RMC. The performance provided by the Castorice itself is still quite satisfying and fairly strong when compared to DPS like Phainon, which is also the top tier DPS in the current meta. Then what about her signature Lightcone? Her signature Lightcone is no less attractive, guys. This Lightcone is perfect for Castorice because it can increase maximum HP, advanced action, and make the user ignore enemy defense. The advanced action of this Lightcone will be very useful so that Castorice get her action faster. This is useful, as this character has a very low speed. Based on some calculation, you will get an increase in damage of around 30% if you use this signature Lightcone compared to using another Lightcones. This makes this Lightcone one of the Lightcones that is very worth taking. Next, we will talk about Tribbie. The main kit she has as a character with role support is that she can give a buff to teammates located in her skill section, which can give an all-type resistant penetration increase of 24% for 3 turns. Honestly, the effect of her skill is a fairly premium buff, because we can only find the effect of this skill such as Robin's Idol 1 or Runmei's ultimate effect, which more or less gives a similar effect. Another interesting thing that Tribbie has is located in her talent kit. She can launch a follow-up attack whenever a teammate performs an ultimate. Well, this talent is what makes Tribbie somehow a Harmony character that can provide buffs while dealing considerable damage to enemies. On the other hand, the ultimate from Tribbie is no less interesting, guys. Her ultimate will deal damage to all enemies with quantum damage and will create a zone on the field that will increase the damage received by enemies and also deal additional quantum damage to enemies attacked by teammates. Interestingly, the more enemies your allies attack, the greater the additional damage. So it's clear that Tribbie is ideal if paired with the unit that has a kit that can deal AoE damage, which is a character that has an erudition path. Okay, now we will go back to the original question. Is Tribbie worth it to take in 3.7? I gave a score of 8 out of 10. Overall, Tribbie is an interesting character because as a support, she can take part in dealing damage in area to enemies. Tribbie is very suitable to play with DPS characters who can deal damage to many enemies, such as Derta, who do need hits in AoE to fill up her ultimate faster. In addition, we can also pair Tribbie with other characters who have HP scaling, such as Castorice and Evernight. Then what about the signature Lightcone called If Time Were a Flower? The effect of this Lightcone can increase Tribbie's critical damage and will provide additional energy every time Tribbie launches her follow-up attack. So with this added energy, Tribbie can launch her ultimate more often, which means it's faster to reset the number of follow-up attacks that will be given to enemies. Personally, the effect of this Lightcone is a pity to miss. If you want to maximize the damage given to Tribbie, then this Lightcone is worth taking. However, some other Lightcones such as Dance are also good enough to use. Okay, now let's move on to the discussion of DPS characters who are no less powerful. Who else if not Phainon? Honestly, Phainon is once again a top tier DPS with Castorice. Phainon, who has a physical type with a destruction path, has an ultimate that can make him transform into Haslana. Well, Haslana himself has very cool animations and attacks, especially when he launches an attack called Foundation Star Death Verdict, where he will drop meteors that attack in a bounce to all enemies. This skill has a very high damage multiplier, which is 1170% at base and maximum at 2340%. Yep, the number can increase 2 times if you consume 4 Scourge to perform this skill. Now the Scourge itself is a special skill point that can be used by Hyacine to launch skill. Scourge can be obtained through the first version of enhanced skill or enhanced basic attack, depending on the number of enemies in the field. One of the other advantages of Phainon compared to other characters is that when he transforms, he will permanently grant physical weakness to enemies, making this character flexible to use in a wide variety of content, be it MOC, pure fiction, or apocalyptic shadow. Interesting, isn't it? According to data from Pridewindow.gg, Phainon has a very high usage rate, namely 34.23% in MOC, 27.51% in pure fiction, 33.06% in apocalyptic shadow, and 24.88% in anomaly arbitration. This figure is indeed lower when compared to Castorice, which can even reach 70% usage rate. But this doesn't mean that Phainon has a bad kit. On the contrary, it's still very good if you use it in MOC and Apocalyptic Shadow, because it provides a less effective bounce attack if you use it against many enemies like in Pure Fiction mode. I give this character a score of 8.5 out of 10. Until now, Phainon is one of the meta characters that can be used in various kinds of existing content. That's because his kit is quite universal and also powerful. Plus, if you intend to take Cyrene in this version, then Phainon will be a strong candidate for you to take as well, as Cyrene can provide a very strong buff for him, making the team consisting of Phainon as the main DPS even more worth taking. His signature LC is no less good and very worth it, guys. As we know, in transformation mode, the speed of Castellana cannot be affected by any effect except the base speed of the Phainon itself. Of course, this makes this Lightcon is quite crucial to get if we intend to maximize the potential and the damage of Phainon. Because in addition to providing an additional base speed increase, 60% damage will also give 18% incremental defense to his attacks, making Phainon's kit even stronger. Based on existing data, this Lightcon can provide a 30% increase in performance from Phainon when used. Now we will talk about Mydei. Mydei itself has an imaginary type with a destruction path that acts as a main DPS with HP scaling. His kit is very similar to Blades, where he can reduce his own HP to deal attacks. Through a mode called Vendetta, Mydei has 3 additional lives when hit by a deadly attack, has a very high maximum HP, and can provide deadly attacks through his enhanced skill called Godslayer Be God. This skill can only be activated when Mydei has 150 points of charge. These charge points are obtained by reducing Mydei's HP, whether it's attacked or consuming its own HP. Oh yeah, when entering Vendetta mode, Mydei can't be controlled by you when he gets his turn. He will automatically cast a skill called Kingslayer Be King every single turn, and you can only control the use of his ultimate. But luckily, his ultimate can be used to direct Kingslayer Be King or Godslayer Be God to match the enemies you want to target. In addition, his ultimate can also restore his HP and give a taunt effect to 3 enemies. Of course, with this, Mydei has a kit that is quite independent, where he can recover his own HP, revive himself, and give his own taunt. According to the data I got from Pridewindow.gg, unfortunately Mydei currently has a poor performance, where it's only used as much as 2.42% in MOC, 2.24% in Pure Fiction, 4.86% in the Apocalyptic Shadow, and 4.9% in Anomaly Arbitration. Of course, this percentage shows that Mydei's performance in endgame content has now been greatly reduced. Plus, he himself needs some certain support such as Sunday and Hyacine to be able to maximize the damage produced. Currently, I give it a score of 7.5 out of 10. Although this character sounds very powerful, where one of the advantages is that he cannot be defeated easily, has a very high maximum HP, but some people argue that the damage he produces is quite lagging when compared to Castorice or Phainon, which have higher damage. In addition, the auto battle mechanic of the Vendetta mode often makes players not free to play and determine the combo to use against the enemy. Of course, Mydei is pretty good if you have the right support for him, especially if you have Cyrene that can improve the performance of the kit. For his own signature Lightcon, it provides everything that Mydei needs, such as increased maximum HP, incoming healing, increased damage, and HP reduction, which is very useful so that Mydei gets more charges. The difference in performance of this Lancon with the free-to-play Lancon called a Secret Vow itself is around 30%. So I highly recommend you take this Lancon if you intend to maximize the kit from Mydei. Now let's move on to Cipher. Cipher has a quantum type with Annihilate Path that acts as a debuffer within the team. She has a unique kit where she can record the damage done by team members. Later, the damage can be dealt through the ultimate and has a damage type in the form of true damage. This damage is certain and in accordance with the amount of damage recorded through her talent called the Hospitable Delusion. This talent can give enemies a debuff called Patron. If an enemy with a patron is attacked by a team member, Cipher will record 24% of the damage dealt to be stored and unleashed when the Cipher uses ultimate. The damage that can be recorded through this talent has no limits, so we can continuously record damage until the right time to use it. For example, if we intend to give a finisher attack to the enemy before switching to the next cycle. According to the data I took from PrideWindow.gg, Cipher has a usage rate of 5.05% in MOC, 4.69% in Pure Fiction, 4.76% in Apocalyptic Shadow, and 8.07% in Anomaly Arbitration. These numbers are again very low numbers, although not as low as Mydei's usage rate. This is certainly influenced by many factors, such as losing competition with characters with other paths, such as Harmony, as well as lack of entry for most teams. So, obviously with all of her abilities, this character would be well worth taking. I gave it a score of 7.5 out of 10. The reason is because this character is quad or even very universal to be used in a wide variety of team compositions. For example, using Cipher in the Castorice team instead of Evernight, using Cipher in the DOT team, and so on. In addition, Archer, which was a free character in a few previous versions, is also very suitable to be paired with Cipher, making players who have just played this game can immediately get a good performance even with free characters. Now about her signature Lightcon called Lice Dance on the Breeze. This Lightcon has a very good effect and is suitable for use by Cipher or other Nihilistic characters such as Fugue or Silver Wolf. Due to the effect of this Lightcon, it gives speed as well as reduction in defense to enemies up to a total of 24%. This number is very high considering that we can consistently give this debuff to enemies. So, this Lightcon is a very universal Lightcon that can be paired with various characters with Nihilistic Path. I really recommend you to take it as well in this version. Okay guys, maybe that's all for now. Who do you intend to pull in this version? Please leave any comments down below. And don't forget to check out my other videos because they are no less cool. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.